Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Neurodivergent Convergence podcast. As always, I am one of your hosts, Nikki, and I don't know what to say right now because my brain just died. And this is Aminder. Hi, Aminder.
Hi, how's it going?
Do you have something cool to say right now? Because I don't know what just happened, but my brain just turned off. It just died. Help.
I think we're both listening to storms outside, so that may be why.
Maybe.
Like, we're
Maybe.
trying to do this before either the power gets cut off or we get blown away by a tornado.
Yeah,
So that's
well, we
something.
just had one of those. So I don't really want to do that again. Like literally on Thursday, we just had one go through here, and I really don't want to do that again. There's a gigantor tree in my side yard right now that is yet to be chopped up because we've not had time. It's not my tree, it's a neighbor's tree, but it's in my yard, so we were gonna help. But the town next to us got tore the hell up. Springfield is without fucking power for 18,000 people. It's been crazy. So we don't really want to do this again. However, it looks like we might, but we're gonna try to knock this out before we might possibly get blown away, like she said. So what are we here to talk about today, Aminder?
Well, it's kind of a part two of the executive functioning slash dysfunction from the last episode, but we're going to be more focused on this time about auditory processing, like auditory processing disorder, like the symptoms, stuff like that.
Yes, because we mentioned in our last episode that it's something we both, well, me specifically, deal with quite a bit, but I think you said you deal with it quite a bit too, like issues with auditory processing.
Hmm.
Yeah. And also, if I'm sounding extra sexy right now, it's because all of these storms have kicked up all of the allergens that there possibly could be to kick up. And I have sinus drainage. So sorry, we get the deep voiced, sexy version of me this week. So enjoy it while you can, because I'll go back to squeaky and annoying real fast. So enjoy it while you can, folks. Anyway, we have some fun for you, per usual, as you've come to expect now, 10 episodes in. That's right, folks. We have officially hit double fucking digits. We made it. We made it to double digits. How do we feel about this, Eminder?
I just honestly can't believe it's been 10 episodes.
I
Not gonna
know.
lie. Like, I told you I've been having a hard time processing time lately, but that just seems also crazy to me.
Yeah. So 10 episodes in. Not sure how we arrived here, but we're here. We're gonna say this again at like 20 episodes and so on. And then we'll be at 100 episodes and be like, what happened? What is life? Did we CERN collider time warp again? We might have. Let's do the time. Sorry, that's really difficult for me not to sing that song every time I hear a time warp. So there we go. There we go. We're starting already, squirrel. Okay, let's get on task. Let's take a breath. You want to take a collective deep breath so we can center our brains? Let's do it. Ready? 1, 2, 3. And release it. Yes. But that's what I hear a yoga teacher say. It's like, let's take a collective deep breath together to center ourselves before we begin our practice. So before we begin our fuckery today, we are going to engage in that wonderful collective breath together as a community. And then we're going to read some
Turning into Cartman over here.
to you.
If Cartman
Okay.
was a yoga teacher.
Oh my God. He'd be a fun fucking yoga teacher. I would take Cartman's yoga class any day. I really would. Anyway. That's going in a reel. That's going in a reel. I would take Cartman's yoga class any day. Okay, so I'm reading. Oh, here we go. First yawn of the episode, folks. We're one down. How many more do we have to go? Please don't make this a drinking game. You might die.
Get
So,
alcohol poisoning.
yeah. So, okay, I'm reading the AI story today. Correct? Correct.
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right, I'm gonna kick it off. So today's fuckery with our lovely AI story from Infrikit, not sponsored, tried to be focused on this topic. Yet again, Amanda and I seem to be in some sort of strange love affair. Again, we keep finding this theme, not on purpose. Okay, not on purpose. The only keywords I gave this thing were hearing, processing, Nikki, and Amanda. That's it. Short and sweet. 4 of them. And before I start, actually, I need to say something. If you have heard us say in any of the last 10 episodes that we should probably make a document in which you can follow along with these ridiculous stories, we have done that. And it is now a thing. So if you need a minute to like pause the episode and pull up the show notes and open this Google Doc, you can read along with me as I read this if you too are like a Minder and cannot hear without your subtitles. Okay. So go open your subtitles. I'll give you a second to do so, and then we're gonna kick it off. Okay, we're gonna kick it off. So I already told you what the keywords were. Here we go. Do you ever get some of your old feelings back for Amanda and Nikki? Are you getting a certain part of your brain to process them? That's the thing you've been avoiding for all these years. You're going to have to deal with it in the moment, and you're going to have to talk to Amanda. There's no more time to spare. Why did they feel so angry towards Amanda? All that's happening is she's taking away this memory for them, and we don't know why she's taking it away. It's a positive memory that they had about Nikki's hearing and being able to communicate. It's just that she was kind of shown and told through Amanda. This is the stuff that you should be doing. This is the thinking you should be doing. And that's what's been suggested in therapy to them. If Amanda can convince them that what they're thinking is wrong, they're probably going to tell her that. Nikki and Amanda are each coming from different places and coming from different experiences. But the way Amanda's processing is different than Nikki's. It's taking away a sense of what you're feeling and what you're hearing and what you're processing in a way that's really emotionally damaging and very much similar to hearing you're a child murderer. Amanda and Nikki, we cracked, folks. We cracked. Amanda and Nikki believe they were drawn to each other out of protection. That's the first thing that they both think about. But you have to remember that she hasn't thought of Nikki for 5 years. She doesn't even know her anymore. She didn't even talk to Nikki because they weren't in the same job. Amanda doesn't remember what she's done to Nikki. All she's processing is seeing a 2-year-old. That's why she's so protective and so offended by Amanda. All of those things are what make this complicated. The end.
Like, I know I've always said that you have the bladder of a toddler, but I don't think I've always seen you as a 2-year-old.
This one was interesting, if nothing else. A few laughs, but it's just I don't understand why this thing keeps trying to make us be in a relationship. It's just very strange.
I mean, the last one before I edited it to where it wouldn't be so
that we would be
pornographic.
doing a softcore porn on this.
Yes.
Yeah,
Like with
real.
lube and everything. Like
Yeah,
I
it was
had
a
to
lot.
let's tone this down
Yeah, it
just
was
a
a
bit.
lot, man. As I mentioned last week, we almost broke up over fried chicken. We would not survive lube shopping. Okay, we just would not. So, and again, if you don't know what any of that means, you have some more listening to do. Okay. Anyway, let's move along because I don't want to draw on too long with threat of severe weather on the way.
Yeah,
So
it's currently thundering here.
Yeah, it kind of quit thundering here, but it's gonna start back in a minute. So let's do this. Today's Mad Lib is what, Aminder?
It is Clone Wars.
Yay!
And we're still in the 90s Mad Lib.
Yeah, we're gonna finish her up here for too long, and then we're gonna have to go to our best of book, which is like a thick one. She's a thickums with 3 C's. So we'll finish up this guy. All right.
Thick boy.
All right.
Okay.
Hit it. What you need, ma'am.
Okay. First country. Yep, I need a first A is a country.
Djibouti.
Djibouti. First name.
Clark.
Clark Kent. Noun.
Vessel. Because I like how that sounds when you say it.
Adjective.
Gigantic.
Person and room.
Nikita Bonana.
The Banana King. Adjective.
Plucky. And I didn't know what that meant until just a little bit ago when she told me what it meant. Just to be real honest, I don't know what the fuck it meant. I don't think I remember what it meant, but it sounds cool. I think you said it meant smart, right?
It's a courageous. Like he's very plucky.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Well, there you go. That fits. Okay.
Noun.
Motorized scooter.
Oh boy. Verb ending in ing.
Undulating.
I'm just gonna go with my best guess on how that spells.
It's fine. Nobody can see it.
Adjective.
Uncanny.
Another adjective.
Elongated.
A color.
Chartreuse. Because we're piggybacking off of puce.
Is chartreuse like a red color?
I think chartreuse is yellow.
There's like certain colors that have like I've always like not always, but like
Hold on.
here sometimes that I always just think I associate with like puce. I think is we figured out is red, but
Chartreuse is, I'm Googling it, yellow. It's like a
okay.
yellow green color.
See, to me, I want to switch them. I want to think like puce is like yellow, but
Yes,
it sounds like
yellow, and then
puke or
chartreuse would be
something, and
red.
gross and pus, and so and
Yeah,
then chartreuse sounds like a red.
I
Okay,
agree.
part
It's
of
a greenish yellow. So yawn number two,
gross. Part of the body.
that part behind your knee.
Noun.
Essence. It's the essence of the person. I love your essence.
Another noun.
Because this is Clone Wars, like this is so like out of left field if I don't preface this. Because it's Clone Wars and we're most likely going to be talking about stormtroopers of some kind. I have to give them a weapon. So I chose a Barrett 50 cal. Because why not? They can't even
Okay.
shoot their little plasma rifles. I don't know what the hell they're going to do with a Barrett 50 cal. It's like bigger than they are.
And they with their stupid little like plastic armor. I mean,
Right,
is that
right,
gonna help
right. It
anything?
would crack their armor when they shoulder fire. Just saying. But anyway,
Verb.
well, that 50 cal has to do something. So how about blast?
Okay, makes sense. Plus, there's the alliteration here. Adjective.
I also just learned that maleficent is an adjective. And since she's my favorite, that is what we're going to do.
Okay, so funny enough, this looks like nothing to do with Star Wars.
Oh, of course.
It looks to see. Remember, like Dolly the sheep, and then they were so excited that they cloned a sheep for the first time.
Oh, I've been bamboozled. I thought this
I've
was
been
Star
tricked,
Wars the whole
tricksy little
time.
hobbitses.
Oh no.
Okay, let's see. Scientists in Djibouti have announced the birth of the world's first cloned mammal, Clark the sheep. Previous attempts to clone a vessel were unsuccessful. The cloned sheep is being called the most gigantic scientific achievement since Nikita Bonanna cured pluckypox. The baby sheep was cloned by inserting a motorized scooter cell into an egg and undulating it into an adult sheep. It was a smooth and uncanny pregnancy with no complications. Mother and child are healthy and elongated. Scientists describe the baby sheep as fluffy, chartreuse, and a big fan of that part behind your knee rubs. Some call this animal a freak of essence, but she's actually a very loving Barrett 50 cal. Only time will blast what this breakthrough means for humans, but scientists insist that cloning people is strictly maleficent. The end.
Oh my god, I can't. That was I was so fucking what do they call that? Rickrolled now?
Yep,
What
yep,
that what you
Rickrolled.
call when you're expecting one thing and it's completely fucking something else? We were Rickrolled with this one, okay? You weren't because you read it. I was. I was hella Rickrolled. I was assuming we was gonna be speaking on the stormtroopers, but this is fucking better. It's so much better. It's so much better. I can't. I cannot with the fucking oh so many things to talk about. The undulating it into
Yep.
an old shape. And then
She's a
big
very loving
fan of
Barrett
that
50
part
cal.
behind the knee rubs.
Like I said, just gives me very Scott Pilgrim vibe.
Oh my
Evil
god, I
X.
can't. And cloning people is strictly maleficent.
Mm-hmm.
That was yawn number 4. Y'all missed one during the flubs of reading this. Just in case you were wondering where the count is at this point. It's 4.
Maybe like
We
a
gotta keep them.
counter.
We gotta
This
keep,
is if this
keep
is a video,
ourselves
we'd have like a
honest.
counter, yawn counter going on in the corner.
Yawn counter. Yeah, if this was video, we would definitely have a yawn counter in the corner. Okay, well, that's all the fuckery we have for you today. Let's get into our topic, Miss Ma'am. And I brought this up to you earlier. The last one was read heavy, and it was difficult for me to listen to it. And I said it.
That's
So
why you can tell. That's why when you were watching me, you could tell that I was just kind of like I checked out. I'm like, what?
yeah. When I listened back today, I was like, girl, I couldn't even listen to me. How the fuck is anybody else listening to me? So we're taking notes. Episode 10, we're gonna do things a little differently. You people can read. I have full confidence. You people can read. Uh,
We believe in you.
we believe in you. If you have the proper, the proper, what am I trying to say? If you are not visually impaired,
Hmm.
you can read. So if you would like to read and follow along and you are able to read and follow along, you can do that. Otherwise, just listen to what we're saying and know that we're not ripping it off completely. It's coming from somewhere. Okay. So, since you just read, I'll kick it off. So what we're talking about today, like we said, is auditory processing disorder. Um, I want to start with a little bit of interesting info that I did not realize. Apparently, there are types of auditory processing disorder underneath the blanket of said thing. So these types, I'm going to rattle off real quick, are hypersensitivity, decoding, integration, prosodic, and organizational. So hypersensitivity is pretty much what it sounds like. You can read a little bit more on that, but it says one of the things in that is misphonia, which is when people have an adverse physical reaction to sounds, such as becoming nauseated by chewing or slurping. Yes, yes, and hyperacusis. Yeah,
Guess as
hyperacusis.
good as mine.
Yeah, on okay, hyperacusis is
It's sensitivity to sounds.
sensitivity to sounds. Yeah. So
So like
white
white
noise,
noise, it's like basically
deafening.
everything seems louder.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like,
Okay. So that's what hypersensitivity. Decoding is just difficulties involving a lack of being able to figure out spoken words. So like you can hear the sound, but you don't actually process the sound as words.
to me, that seems like the kind of like the teacher in Charlie Brown, that wah wah wah
Yeah, the
wah.
want,
Like,
want, want. Yep. So decoding is the want from Charlie Brown. And then integration um applies to those who struggle to do multiple things while listening, such as multitasking, maybe writing notes and listening or having conversations while typing an email. Me.
yeah,
That is the biggest thing I struggle with. I talked about it before. I'm if I'm trying to do something, if I'm trying to write a text out to somebody and my kid wants to talk to me over writing a text, I can't focus on both things. It will send me into a fucking tizzy. I can't process what you're saying and type this at the same time. My husband can listen to music and listen to podcasts, like listen to other people talk while typing out his books. Like he's a
hmm.
writer. So while writing his books and thinking about what he needs to think about to type out, he can listen to a podcast that has nothing to do with what he's doing. There's no way. Like,
Like
there's no way I could
like the
do that.
music I can get, like having music as background noise, but like that's usually kind of like drowning it out. But if you're listening to something that you actually actively have to hear what they're saying, that's like
Yeah.
a no for me. Like if I'm typing up something at work and a coworker comes up to talk to me, I have to stop what I'm doing, otherwise I'm not going to hear what they're saying.
Yeah.
Um,
Absolutely.
like I said, I've been training for my new job, and I'm a note taker. I like to take notes so I can reference it later. And I if my and my boss now has luckily has learned that if I'm writing notes as and then she starts to explain something, like I'm like, hold on 1 second, like I can't finish writing my note and you talk about something else. I'm gonna have to
Mhm.
tell you to repeat yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that's a huge struggle for me. We can definitely touch more on that. But prosodic is another one. I don't struggle with this as much. This has to do with trouble determining inflection in voice. So like the difference between a question and an exclamation aren't readily identified for you.
Yeah, when I
So
saw
it
this one,
sounds
I
the same
didn't.
to you.
I figured this one didn't. I didn't. I think that's more like, and this is gonna sound like I'm stereotyping. It's kind of like probably like maybe like more like on the autism spectrum, like people with autism are kind of like thought like they don't understand like tone. Like
Hmm.
that's true in some ways, like,
Right.
but that's not true for everyone that's like autistic.
Right.
But so like for me,
As are
that
most
doesn't.
things.
But for me, like I can tell when someone's telling a joke. I can tell like it might take me a second to get what they're saying at first, but I can tell when someone's being sarcastic. I can
Right.
tell stuff like that. So that to me, that also doesn't really apply.
Yeah. And then the last one is organizational. So that is organizational or output, they say, often characterized by not recalling information in a specific order or having difficulty with noisy situations. Here, I
Yeah.
cannot function with multiple noises going on at the same time because my brain cannot sort out which ones I should prioritize and listen to and which ones I can drown out. It hears it all at once. And so it just kind of sits there in a big mall, mush mouth, mush mouth counter, one ball of mush in my head. And I can't make heads or tails of it. And then it sends me into a fucking meltdown. So that's the types. Um, Anything you want to say about the types before we move on to what some of the symptoms are? I think we kind of touched a little bit each on each kind of thing, but I just wanted to see if you had any other thoughts before we moved on.
Yeah, like I talked about earlier, like the misophonia, like I don't necessarily think I have it in that sense. It's more like, yeah, certain noises annoy me, but they don't give me physical reactions. Like I just get annoyed.
Yeah.
Like I said, like I've mentioned several times, whistling. Chewing does annoy me. Like when I hear people chewing, like people chew with their mouth open, stuff like that. Constant coughing. I don't feel sick. I don't hurt physically, but I do feel just almost like unbridled anger at
Yeah.
certain noises.
Yeah. So I
And
definitely experienced that same thing. However, I think I might qualify under the misophonia because there are certain noises that will make me like have a physical like nail. I know everyone like a typical one is like nails on a chalkboard. Like some people just don't like how that sounds. That sound causes me physical pain. Like my whole body just like tenses up and I want to scream and crawl out of my skin. So like and sounds similar to that. Loud, screechy
yeah,
sounds. Like I can't handle it. They do cause me like a physical reaction in my body. It's not just to like, ow, that hurts, get it away, and then like rage. It's like this physically fucking hurts. So I definitely can roll with that one.
yeah. I guess like there's like a alarm that happens. Like if our alarm like on our at work is like dying or something, or
Mm-hmm.
something needs to be worked on, it'll just kind of like a drowning like like either constant, or it'll beep like every minute or so,
Yeah.
like a really loud noise.
Yeah.
And there's at some point like I felt sick after hearing that for at least a couple hours. I'm just like I
Mm-hmm.
can't take it anymore. And so yeah, so
Yeah.
yeah, I get it. That sort of thing does annoy me. And the whole like the whole like the decoding thing, like the Charlie Brown teacher. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, like I can literally be staring at you and you could be talking to me and I would not have heard a single thing you said.
Right.
Like it's kind of like I was looking my boss in the eye as she was explaining something to me, but I was hearing things in the background
Mm-hmm.
that was my brain was focused on, and I just went after about maybe 15-20 seconds of her speaking. I said, I am so sorry, can you please repeat that? As I'm staring her straight in the face.
Right. Because
Like
we've gotten really good at looking like we're listening because we've
hmm
dealt with this shit our whole lives and just now realize that these are issues that are like
yeah.
real and not just us being terrible humans.
hmm
So, so yeah. All right. With that being said, the rain is definitely picking up here. So let's move on to some symptoms that you could experience with auditory processing disorder, or not necessarily, maybe you haven't been diagnosed with auditory processing disorder, but just auditory processing issues in general.
And I also
So,
want to preface this that we are not doctors, we're not
right.
we're not professionals in any
Look at the
capacity. This is just our
disclaimer. Okay. Look
experiences.
at the
Yes.
disclaimer. We are
Yep.
not doctors, nor do we play one on TV. So there you go.
Yep.
Don't listen. We don't know what the fuck we're talking about. So and oh, we didn't even mention this. The link that this one will be hooked up to is from vocovision.com. So that's where we're reading this from. Okay, so symptoms you could experience would be difficulty hearing in noisy situations. I literally just talked about that. Difficulty with sound discrimination. So not being able to sort out what sound is what and where you're hearing it and all things like that. Recalling information in order. We talked about that. Saying, huh, what, or I don't understand often. Yes.
hmm
Sometimes saying one of the above and then immediately responding appropriately. Yes. So you're like on a delay. It's like a time delay. Like you heard
hmm
what they said, but it took you longer to process what it was that they said. And then then it clicks and then you can answer. So like I've come to learn to say like what, or I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Even if I did hear them, and just I haven't my brain hasn't processed it all the way yet, and I needed a second to answer them, just so that I don't look like I'm either wasn't listening or that I am um that I'm ignoring them. Do you know what I mean? So
Hmm.
I think it's probably a response that I learned over the years to like mask the fact that I was having issues with this, with unknowingly, right? Like it was an unknowing thing that I just developed so that
It's
I
like sometimes
wouldn't.
I just thought maybe I'm just really hard of hearing and I don't know
Right,
it.
right. And then challenges with reading, believe it or not, is also part of this. So your visual and auditory go together quite a bit. Hence why you can't hear without subtitles. Hard to express themselves clearly. So you talked about this a little bit ago before we were recording, but you had mentioned, oh, well, I'll just let you tell it. Tell me what you were telling me earlier about
Yeah,
this.
it's kind of like I thought about this probably just yesterday. I like just as an example, like the word tumultuous.
Mhm.
I know like in my heart of hearts, I know what tumultuous means. I can't tell you what it means. I just know how to say it in context. Like I know how to say it in the right context. I know, but like there's been times where I will use a word, a coworker will be like, I don't know what that means. I can't give them a definition. I know what it means in my brain. I know it like I know to use tumultuous to mean like a storm and not like, oh, that storm was tumultuous, but I wouldn't say it like, oh, that run in the field, that really lovely field, that was tumultuous. I wouldn't say that, you know?
Right,
But and then in terms of like I can it's kind of hard to put into my what I'm thinking and what's in my brain into words, clearly. Like it's hard to describe what I'm thinking, or it just becomes overwhelming.
right. Because it makes sense in my head, but if I have to say it out loud, I lose the clarity. Like, because I think I'm
Mhm.
focusing so much on how to convey what it is I want to say in a way that it will be understood, that it's getting in the way of me actually just delivering what it is I need to say.
Mhm.
Or when someone asks me and I'm put on the spot to be able to define a word that I know the definition to, but maybe it's going to take me longer to answer them than they would want. Again, it's like that mask, that tool that was learned subconsciously to like mask the fact that I don't have the answer for you right now because I need longer to process what it is you're asking me.
Or
Or
I'll like slyly Google it and be like,
yeah,
well,
like Google can explain it better than I can. So I'll Google it and
yeah.
then read what Google says. Yes, I do the
Hmm.
same thing. So, or I'll say things like, well, I'm not really sure, or no, I know what it is, but it's hard for me to explain. So I'm just going to Google it. Like, it's hard for me to
Hmm.
explain. I use that a lot. It's hard to explain. Not hard to explain. I know what I want to say. I just can't, when it comes out of my mouth, it doesn't sound like how
It
it sounds in my head. Do you know what I mean?
it's like seeing a picture in your mind
Yes.
and then
And then you describe
describing
the picture
that
and you can't.
picture to
Yeah.
somebody. It's just and that some people are like, what do you mean? That does that I can describe something that I'm thinking all the time. It's like, yes, I know.
Yes.
I don't. I
That's right.
can't.
I'm telling you, I can't. Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's definitely a big one. Looks to be listening but not hearing the actual word spoken. You literally just said that with your boss.
Hmm.
And then difficulty with accents or people who speak significantly quicker than the sufferer. I don't
Yes,
have that problem,
I
honestly. I
do.
don't. I do just fine with people's accents. It does take me a little bit longer to process what's heard, but I don't really struggle as much with accents and things.
For me, it's the whole like right now I'm on like Duolingo trying to like do Spanish and stuff, and I've taken 4 years of Spanish. I've been in Spain, but it's like the ones that I have to listen to the audio and like either type what they're saying or respond to what they're saying. I have or translate whatever. I always have to hit the slow down option because it's like I can't hear what they're saying, translate it in English, and create a response in the amount of time that it wants me to.
Right.
And every time like when like if I was walking see words can't express things. When I was in Spain and I would talk to people, I had to practice in my head what I wanted to say and to hopefully anticipate what they were going to say so I can already think of the response in Spanish for what I want to say.
Hmm.
And a lot of times I had to say like más despacio, like slower, please, like más despacio, por favor. Like I have to do slower. And like working in a call center, I also like there's just some accents like for some reason like the Indian accent I have a really hard time with, and there's some like Eastern European accents I have like a really hard time with. I just have a hard time like they're speaking perfect English. Their English is fine. It's just the
Mhm.
accent. It's just hard for me to like get through because I'm trying to like okay, I'm trying to hear it in like American Midwest accent.
Right, right. I know I hear that a lot. So I was always curious like what that was, why people struggled so hard with accents and I didn't. So I don't know. Maybe I just didn't get that affliction. Who knows? I
Maybe
think
she wasn't born with it.
I was not born with it, and it is not Maybelline. That's a real, another real. I was not born with it, and it's not Maybelline. Anyway, next. Oh, there's okay. There's two more. Trouble following conversations with multiple speakers or topics. You're on number six because I muted one. Count. What is that? Wow, words. Yawn counter. I'm on number six. Moving on. Trouble following conversations with multiple speakers or topics. Yes, I can't listen to four people talk at once. I can't. Not even two people talk at once. Can't do it.
Like I can, as long as they're not all talking at me,
Yes.
fine. But if I'm in like a room, I like listening to people. Like I like, people watching. I like listening to conversations. Because a lot of times it's like when people think that because I'm not responding to them, that I either don't like the conversation or I'm just quiet. It's like, yeah, I'm being quiet, but it's also like I just find it interesting, like hearing people talk about things that I don't necessarily have input for.
Right.
So if say like three different groups of friends are having a conversation, as long like if I can just sit and just focus on one group of friends over here, and one over here, fine. But I'm not going to listen to all of them at the same time. No.
Right. Yeah. And then mispronunciations and confusing similar words. I mean,
Like
I do
not
it,
really for
but
me. I've had a lot of people tell me that I'm pretty good at pronouncing things. I don't just because I like to read, and granted, I know reading you don't really hear pronunciations. But it's kind of like yesterday I was working with my boss and we had like last names, and I said, "Oh, I'm pretty sure like this name." It was like a really really Polish name. It's like, "Oh, I'm pretty sure this name is like it's like Nishwish or something like that." And I was like, she's like, "That's weird." So I kind of like I just wanted to see, so I Googled the pronunciation, and I was pretty close. Like I don't have the Polish accent to pull it off, but or like when I have people call in and they have unusual names, probably like 9 times out of 10, people are genuinely surprised that I get their name correctly. Like
yeah.
that I pronounce their names right. Similar words, maybe like it just
Yeah,
I
I
don't
don't
know.
feel
Like
like I struggle with this one as much.
yeah, no, I
So,
don't either. So
so yeah. So and then there's some more information on here about, classroom support for children, um frequently asked questions. There's one on here about auditory processing disorder and ADHD and autism connection. It says a lot of times this goes along with ADHD and autism. It's a comorbidity. And sometimes ADHD it, or yeah, ADHD is misdiagnosed as auditory processing disorder and vice versa. So like much like bipolar disorder and autism or ADHD or any other kind of neurodivergence that affects your mood is often misdiagnosed for one another. This is also similar. So, and you can have both. You can be diagnosed with both. You can have be on the spectrum and be diagnosed with auditory processing disorder. So it's possible for both.
it's a
Or you can be
giant,
diagnosed with auditory
giant,
processing and
yeah.
not be autistic or not be ADHD. So
It's a giant multi-circled Venn diagram.
right. So and
And
one of them was, is it genetic, which I find interesting for a lot of this stuff. And it says many children with APD have family histories of auditory processing disorders. However, there is a limited concrete evidence that APD is genetic. So that's another thing they kind of briefly touch on. But you guys can go over to the link. Um, I'll probably have it linked something other than VocoVision, but that's the website this is from, is vocovision.com. So you guys can go check that out. Aminder, you had sent me something earlier. Do you want to take a couple key points off of that article?
yeah,
You said it's
it's
very
actually
dry, so we're
it's
just
very
gonna
dry.
kind
It's just the abstract. It's someone's doctoral thesis,
of okay.
so heavy on the terms and all stuff.
Yeah,
And this is
yeah.
just the abstract. I'm not reading the whole thing. I'm not even reading the whole abstract. It's basically. Let me just tell you what's from. The author is Melissa McGrath. It's her PhD thesis for Ball State University.
Mm-hmm.
In for the Department of Educational Psychology. So let's see. It says I'm about halfway down it. It says due to well-documented deficits in executive functioning, EF, in children with ADHD, the current study investigated the executive functioning skills of children with suspected auditory processing disorder with and without ADHD. So basically, they're trying to see, like, is there a correlation between ADHD? From my understanding, like I said, not even close to being a doctoral student,
Right.
correlation between ADHD and like kids with or without it, and whether or not if they have a like APD is what they call it.
Gotcha.
Findings point towards compelling differences in the groups of children with and without ADHD, referred to APD testing. Children without ADHD scored lower on measures of inhibit oh my god inhibitory control compared to children with ADHD. I literally just said I don't have troubles with pronunciations, and there I go, calling me a liar. Conclusions indicate that decreased executive functioning skills exhibited in children with suspected auditory processing disorder, even those without a diagnosis of ADHD, support the notion that top-down processing plays an important role in receiving and comprehension of auditory information.
So
So,
what is top-down processing?
that I'm not sure.
Okay, hold on.
It's
I'm looking it
maybe,
up. Okay,
yeah.
this is top-down processing refers to how our brains make use of information that has already been brought into the brain by one or more sensory systems. So,
Hmm.
top-down processing is a cognitive process that initiates with our thoughts, which flow down to lower level functions such as senses. In bottom up processing, we allow the stimulus itself to shape our perception without any preconceived ideas. In top down processing, we use our background knowledge and expectations to interpret what we see. So, okay, the way I'm taking that is bottom up. It's like I'm going to touch this thing and let how it feels tell me what it is.
Yeah, like I have no
And
experience in what this thing is.
right.
I have
And
no
so
background
top
information
down
on it.
processing would be that looks like something I've touched before. I already know it's going to feel like blank.
Hmm.
So that's what I
Yeah,
take out of that.
yeah.
That's interesting
So
to know.
yeah, so what I'm getting from this is that I don't think, at least in the couple sentences I read, they're not necessarily saying like, if you have ADHD, you for sure have this, or if
Right,
you have
right.
APD, you for sure have this. It's just there's like a somewhat correlation between it. Um,
Don't
so
notice that.
it's saying, it's like indicate if you have decreased executive functioning, meaning you might even have, you know, um, executive dysfunction,
Mm-hmm.
like you have a higher chance of having auditory processing issues.
Right. Which
So
we talked about last week.
yeah,
That auditory processing was a main component in executive functioning. It is one of the rungs of the ladder of that. So it's one of the things it included, which is why we're talking about it today.
so
So
we'll include this link as well.
yeah.
And I think it contains. Granted, I don't know if anyone would be interested in reading the whole dissertation, but we'll include. I think it includes the whole
Yeah.
thing.
I'm actually gonna include this one. It's from Khan Academy. And it's a video, so I'm gonna include this link as well.
I think I touched briefly on this last time. Is like there was a movie. My friends and I went to go see the new Spider-Man movie, Across the Spider-Verse, and I guess Scott knew. He told me this after that. I can't. Apparently, like, the filmmakers knew that the film came out too quiet, and they told. I guess at the premiere, they told people that you might like that theaters might have to raise the volume up,
Mhm.
which it was quiet. But if I probably didn't have these issues, like I know because like I think Scott said like it was quiet, but he could hear it fine. I probably didn't hear a good third of the dialogue in that because not only quiet, also no subtitles, and like we always joke, I can't hear without my subtitles.
Right, right.
So no subtitles, and a lot of the audio, not just the quiet audio, but a lot of the audio was taken during action scenes, and it was like back to back joke, back to back, like you could really like
Right.
banter back and forth, and it's here hard for me to like tell what's going on. And I told him, I said I just had a hard time following along, and
Right.
so whereas I went to go see another movie just last week, I had no problem understanding what was going on because everything was so clear, and it wasn't like just constant like we're gonna talk the entire time while action's happening and
Action
it's
and
quiet.
action music at the same
Yeah,
time. So like
yeah.
which I'm sure was louder than the vocals the entire
Yes.
time. Yeah,
And
yeah,
so it was a great movie. Like I just really want to watch it when it comes on streaming so I can watch on with subtitles.
yeah.
It's also like another reason like I don't listen to audiobooks. It's like I when people are like, "Oh, I listen to audiobooks," or like, "Why don't you just listen to audiobooks?" Because I just can't. Like they're like when Scott and I were on our Camino in Spain, I would be listening to music. I probably wouldn't be. I probably don't hear half. Like when I listen to music when I go walking or something, I don't probably hear half of what the music I until I start focusing on it. I can't do it with audiobooks. I have to reread pages on books when I'm reading. So I can't do
Yeah.
audiobooks because it's like I'd have to rewind
Right.
and spend half the time rewinding, trying to go back to
Right.
I would just basically space out for lack of a better term.
Right. And see, I like audiobooks because I have a hard time reading.
Hmm.
Tracking is difficult for me. So I have a hard time with that. So I actually enjoy audiobooks and podcasts because I don't have to read anything. I can just listen. And then if I do have to back up, I just back up and replay it. So we will link all of the things in the show notes for you. But that's really kind of all I have on the topic. What about you, ma'am?
Yeah, I mean, we pretty much talked about all the information that we had that we were presented with.
And then kind of how that shows up for us, like whether we can relate or we can't in a lot of these ways. So I think we've pretty well covered it. There was something I was going to say and then I don't remember. Now I remember. We need to tell the people what day this is that we're recording and when this is going to air so they can
Yes.
see how far apart we are now.
Hmm.
This is July the 1st that we are recording this episode, and it shall air, in fact, on July 6th, as Amanda would say, the day of our Lord, 2023.
In the year of our Lord, 2023,
So what,
2023.
5 days? 6 days?
Yes.
So yeah, this we're getting closer. Last week was 10 days from actual recording. We're inching closer. Before you
Yes.
know it, we're gonna be the day before.
And fun fact, you will actually be here in my
Yeah,
house on July
I
6th.
will. I will be at Aminder's. We should probably knock out an episode while I'm there because we were going to do that while you were here last time and we never did it. So,
I think we got focused on cleaning the garage and just doing everything else and like watching Rings of Power.
yes. Yes, we did that. But I'll bring my equipment and we can record live in person without needing Zoom. It'll be
Hmm.
nice. It'll be the
Yeah.
first time live and in person in the flesh, if you
There'd be no
will.
muting ourselves.
No muting ourselves. Right, right. But I can stop recording because we'll be recording on GarageBand. So I can actually hit the space bar and stop recording, which will be nice.
Hmm.
But we'll have to behave a little bit.
Hmm.
No, we won't. We won't
No.
behave.
What's the point
We
of that?
shall not conform to your
We will
society.
not be another brick in the wall,
That's
okay?
right. I will not, all in all, be just another brick in the wall. I will not. Okay, that's this is getting it's deteriorating into something it doesn't.
As every episode does.
Yeah, you guys can always tell when the brain cells start leaking because we start saying stupid shit that don't make no sense. So anyway, let's stop. Let's stop these poor people and put them out of their misery with this episode. But thank you for listening. For 10 episodes now, I feel accomplished. We've made it to double digits and people are listening, which is great. Anyway, we'll see you next week. And all the podcasty things are in the show notes. Don't forget to go do all that, like, subscribe, share, smash the like button, whatever you do for podcasts, follow, all the things. And we'll see you next week. I love you, Minder. Bye
Love
bye.
you too. Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.